All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops here. It's going to be your SITREP. It is 3/28/2024, coming to you live here from the great state of Texas in the Monkey Lounge. As we get into the deets of what's going on around the world, as always, man, we are just wrapping up the month of March, and it is gone by very quickly. But we are also very rapidly advancing towards war, economic collapse, and a whole bunch of other things. And so it is, I'm just telling you, if you are not prepared for this, you need to get prepared for this. The writing is on the wall, and it is, I don't know that there is anything that's going to get us out of this instance. It's just, you cannot accumulate the level of debt that we are doing. You cannot continue to poke the bear, so to speak, with a very, very weak administration, and knowing that both of our enemies, China and Russia, are licking their chops. They've got a very short window to act before potentially Trump gets back in. They probably think he's getting in. I think we think he is. But I will tell you, don't underestimate the deep state, because if they have any means of changing the outcome of what is to come in November, and you know what I'm talking about, they will do it. Yes, they will do it again, really. So, okay, let's get over to the mini and get into some of the details we're going to talk about today. First, we're going to kick it off in sky glasses always. But one thing I did want to do before we do that, let me do this. I want to show you. If you're not prepared for you and your family, we have an affiliate program. They've sponsored this video. It's through My Patriot Supply, and their food, it's all American made. It's a lifeline. It's something that you really need in order to get through what's coming. And that's, I don't even know if you can get through it completely, but at least you want to have enough to keep you out of the streets and going to get food, because everybody's going to be fighting for this if what's coming really comes, okay, which I believe it is, all right? And so I will tell you, I buy the daylights out of this stuff. The quantity, the quality, it is all just top-notch, all right? But they still have this going while supplies last. $200 off a 3-month emergency food supply kit. If you're not familiar with it, just go over to monkeywerxprep.com. That's monkeywerxprep.com. Or just go to that little QR code right over here next to me, and it'll take you straight there. 3-month supply food, $200 off. That's 2,000 calories a day, 22 varieties, a 25-year shelf life. So this stuff isn't going to, go bad on you. And it contains all kinds of things. We'll look at that here in just a minute. It's 120 pounds of food. No MSG. Everything is sealed. It comes in these rugged containers. So if you had to throw it in the back of a truck and go somewhere, you could do that. And it ships fast and free here domestically in the United States. And there is also a 72-hour food supply kit, only $27. Not too bad, really. When you get down into it, this is the tubs that they come in. I've been showing you that in the past. Just to give you an idea of what comes in your 3-month food kit, check this out. This is a new one. Some cornbread in there. That ought to be pretty tasty. But you can see mac and cheese, rice pudding, stroganoff, right? Then you have potato soup, broccoli soup, mushroom rice pilaf. There is creamy Alfredo, chili mac spaghetti. It's just a load of things. Banana chips, pancakes, chocolate pudding. I mean, everybody needs some of that chocolate pudding, right? And then, of course, there's things to drink, right? And you also have powdered whey milk, and then there's bread mix. There's all kinds of things. And it doesn't just stop there. They have a ton of stuff that you can get to prepare for what is coming. You don't want to go to the supermarket and see this, all right? Because that means that you're going to go hungry, as is your family. So again, monkeywerxprep.com, monkeywerxprep.com. Just remember, I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this to prepare you. All right. There is there's just so much coming on the horizon that if you're not prepared with your family, you're going to be in a very bad place when this all goes down. So, all right, let's move on. Let's get over here to Skyglass. As always, I've stripped out the trainers. We've got 102 Text 2s. That's just, sorry, 112 Text 2 trainers, 45 T-38s, and 42 EC-45. So just an insane, almost 200 training aircraft up right now. Let's look at what is up. Look at this KC-135s. You can see we've got 31 of those and 11 B767-200s. We're going to bounce over to Europe because, remember, supposedly they have a massive exercise going on over there. And I'm just seeing 3 air refuelers up at the moment. That is probably military fighters just flying cap right now, if I had to guess. All right, that's going to be your air refuelers. Then we go to H-60s. I got nothing up over Europe, but let's go over to the United States. 22 of those, most of that right here in the Panhandle. That's going to be trainers more than likely in this area. But all of this other stuff, not so much. Now, let's look at the H-60s over the last 3 days, and that tells a different story. 610 H-60s. I'm just showing you the traces. You can see a little bit over Europe, but it's still not what you would expect to see given that there is supposedly an exercise happening. We get over here. You got a little bit coming out of Okinawa. Yeah, it's probably some of your high-speed boys. And then, of course, South Korea and Japan. Now we go down to Australia, and I just see one over here near Sydney, but really nothing else. And then, of course, the U.S. is just covered up. Look at this last 3 days of H-60 traffic. Like I said, 610. That is astronomically high. All over the United States. That right there, again, that's going to be training. But everything else, not so much. All right. And just notice that rounding the horn there down on southern Florida. Where do you not see them? Along the Texas border. Not a one. And then, of course, California covered up. Yep, all the way up to the top. All right. So that is where we are. Hawaii even has a little bit of H-60s. Now, why don't we transition into the H-47? That's the banana copters. And Hawaii, very active. And then we get over here. Now, if you're counting numbers, 66 H-47s last 3 days. I see some long transitions here. Remember, the banana copter, that is a logistics bird. Right, carries troops, carries Humvees, tanks, whatever they need to carry. They don't just carry them inside; they actually hang them off the bottom sometimes. So it's kind of a sight to see. But you can see very active in England and pretty active in Europe. Not too crazy. Something up there. It looks like Latvia, Lithuania area, and then we drop down. Nothing over the Middle East. That may be for a reason because those things get shot down very easily. They make a lot of noise, and they're a big target, slow-moving target, right? So, okay, there's your H-60s. Now, let's just take a look. I'm going to show you what is up C-17-wise, C-130-wise. Those are the two next biggest numbers. 19 and 18 combined is, just under 40. And so, but you can see Texas pretty covered up. Got some stuff coming out of the, looks to be Idaho. Maybe that's Idaho. And then, of course, it's just been so busy with C-17s. We seem to be moving a lot of stuff around, including people, right? And then notice you've got some here, C-130s down towards Malta, out over Spain, and then some C-17 long-haul stuff looks to be bouncing out of Europe, all right? Okay, now that's where we are from that standpoint. Let's do this. We're going to get over here into... let's look at the intel side of the house first and foremost. Just notice the Southern California, right? Notice the transitions between like going coast to coast. It looks like a fuel stop. And then see pretty busy coming out of the, I think that is Houston area, headed towards Fort Hood, up towards Fort Worth side of the house in terms of DFW. Northeast. Okay. And then let's get a little bit further up here. Notice again, out towards the Baltic Sea And then that little wraparound up there towards Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. And then this one right here is looking either at Serbia and or Moldova, probably both, to be honest with you. And then this is going to be the Israelis. And just notice you got some intel flights that are bouncing out over Syria. Yeah. Right. Watch Syria. I'm telling you. Damascus, Isaiah 17. Okay. And then we've got a little bit of intel going on there in Malaysia as well as the Philippines. I don't see anything down in Australia. So, all right, now let's talk drones. Again, notice these transitions. Are they leaving? They coming in? I can't tell. Just notice Southern California down right at the border and then headed back up towards D.C. That one right there, little pigtail corkscrew going up over Jacksonville. Again, drones. So it's going to be probably Q4s, Q9s. And then we go down a little further. You can see something coming. It looks like coming into Malta. And then you see low altitude drone out over the Mediterranean and high altitude drones out over the Black Sea. That's probably going to be Q9, Q4. And then these little low-level ones that are coming out, what looks to be Bahrain, headed into Turkey. And then we see just a little bit of activity off of the coast of Japan. Not what we've seen in the past, but again, last 3 days. All right. Then we talk AWACS. Remember, Advanced Early Warning System. This is doing a lot of different things. Flying out to that Texas border, same area. We see the refuelers, the fighters, etc. What are they looking at out there? Probably something going on the other side of that border. And then it looks like they went up to Alaska. Now, this takes us over to Europe, and you will see a lot more. It's much busier over Europe. And again, the normal locations, right? You can see them bouncing down over Turkey, looking like it flew right up to the border there near Moldova. That's probably their big concern because Moldova is actually talking about rejoining Russia. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are. This off of Australia, I think that's a normal. It's there every time I look, so I don't think there's anything going on there. All right, let's talk R135s. Again, a little busy over the United States. Looks like they're looking towards the Canadian border up there. And then we get, let's see, this one I think is really interesting. They round in the horn, but notice that side looking. They're looking straight into Russia right there. That is Russia. This right here also looking straight into the same area. So there is something up there that they are really, really concerned about that they want to get a good look at. And then the usual places, you see them down towards Constanta, towards the Black Sea. And then, of course, wrapping around right here. That's Taiwan we just looked at. Looks like it came out of Okinawa, went up towards Taiwan and up towards Japan. All right. Okay. Now let's go back to our main as I have my black screen. Let's get into the deets, what's going on out there. First, we're going to start off, just take a look at the Swift Airs. Looks to be a little bit slow today, but just notice that they are going to the interior of our country from border locations. So Phoenix to Reno. Reno is clearly getting a sea of immigrants up there, and that's probably why they're watching them very closely, because they know the ones that probably went to that location are not necessarily good guys, all right? So to stop and pause for a minute and think that our government is putting people into our country that they have to closely watch and monitor. This says it all, doesn't it? Yeah, I thought so too. All right. Let's take a look at Flashbang. If you haven't noticed, he went up to New York and he sat down. He had a little a gathering to raise money, and it was with Obama and the Clintons. That tells you all you need to know. But they were able to raise $52 million, I believe it was. And so evidently, this is kind of crazy. We heard rumors. We heard it from some very reliable sources typically that, that he wasn't going to run, that in May he was going to drop out. Maybe they're raising money just for the Democratic campaign, and it's somebody else coming into the mix. The fact that the Obamas and Clintons were there, that worries me a little bit because you may see, HRC jump back in, or even Big Mike getting into the mix, or the two of them going in, which would just be, I can't even imagine. what our country would be like if you had both of those in the White House. But nonetheless, just eyes on this aspect of it. Now, let's get over to the news side of the house. I do want to talk about a couple of things. We're going to hit, let me hit a pause actually on this. So the bridge collapse, right? They're saying that it is now set to disrupt global trade, including metals, fossil fuels, and grains. Okay, that's per Bloomberg. Now, the interesting piece to this is that particular port isn't even in the top 10 ports of the United States. It's, in fact, Los Angeles is number one. And to see them say that this is going to cause such a disruption, given the fact that it's not even in the top 10 ports in the United States, that I feel like there's just not a lot of truth behind it. That this is probably something they'll blame for Biden's faulty economy. You know, he can't control that kind of thing. But let's back up just a little bit more. And this is another thing we need to pay close attention to. This is unusual whales, by the way. The Federal Reserve saw a net negative income of $114.3 billion last year. A negative income of $114.3 billion. Now, this is coming from an administration who says that they were going to Yellen actually came in and testified that they were reducing the deficit by trillions of dollars. I think $3 trillion. Yeah, I believe that's lying under oath, actually. So, but this is, again, the writing is on the wall. When you start to see the Federal Reserve produce a net, that's a net. It's not a gross negative income. That is a net negative income. That means after all the checks and balances are done, boom, this is where we sit. They are in the red. That is such a bad sign for our country. And it is getting worse and worse. In fact, let's go over here real fast. I want to show you this to kind of dovetail into this piece. But the CBO director warns of debt market meltdown with U.S. debt on an unprecedented trajectory. You can see it right here. Total U.S. debt record, $34.6 trillion. It's a new record high pretty much every single day. As you can see, it is just astronomically high. And it's rising by $1 trillion every 3 months or every 100 days. All right. And this is just not good. They're basically saying here that, listen, when this goes south, it's going to be the worst. Matter of fact, here it goes. Because one day, and that is not far off here, the numbers go up no more. And you want to be far, far away when it happens. And yeah, I mean, spot on, because this isn't just the U.S. That's going to fall when this goes down. It will be the rest of the world, because everybody trades and buys and uses the dollar. That's why the BRICS are trying to get off of it. So anybody caught up that's on the U.S. dollar or reliant on the U.S. economy, they will fall with us. Okay. Back over to the headlines. I do have a couple more things I wanted to show you. By the way, Flashbang has agreed to ban this. Now, get this. This is where we are as a country. When you can agree to spending your people's money to the point of $1.2 trillion that you float in with a 1,200-page document that has all kinds of pork in it. But the fact that we are telling them, okay, well, we'll give you the money because you know it's going to Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. We'll give you the money, but you just can't fly the rainbow flags over our embassies anymore. And let that sink in. That we are giving them that amount of money that they need as long as they don't fly the flag anymore. You wonder why Mike Johnson, as the House Speaker, has his head on the chopping block. This is why, all right? Thank God somebody out there has a voice of reason that is calling for him to be basically withdrawn from the speaker position. The world we live in, folks, it is getting, it's just not good. All right. One other thing here too, I did want to say, we talked about P. Diddy's. I can't believe I'm actually talking about P. Diddy, but we talked about his flight, that we saw these flights that leave. That actually came out of the mainstream media saying that they thought he was fleeing the United States. We tracked the flights. We see his plane down in Barbuda. However, he was sighted in Miami at the airport and talking to the feds. I guess he was about to get on another plane or something. Evidently, he has more than one plane. So just pointing that out there, just thought it was interesting. Okay, data point for you. All right, and let's see. Again, this will be a blame for the Bidenomics failure. Okay, they're saying the port's closure threatens inflation and bigger deficits. Like I said, buckle up. All right, let's get back over here to our mini board. We get into the rest of this great news. So we talked about the 1.2 trillion. Hey, listen, if you don't fly the LGBTQ plus flag over our embassies, we'll give you the 1.2 trillion. Well, let's look at what is packed inside of this. All right. This new budget is going to fund border security in Egypt, Jordan, while the U.S. faces unprecedented border crisis. So we're not going to beef up our security at our border. We're actually going to beef up security around Israel. Now, that should not make Israel feel very good, I would imagine, because you know how things tend to turn out anytime the United States has their hands in the mix on something, right? So check this out. It says here that the 1.2 trillion in spending by the federal government will allocate approximately $380 million to support enhanced border security for Egypt, Lebanon, Oman, Tunisia, and Jordan. And don't think for a minute there is not, $60 billion baked into this, as we saw before, for Ukraine security. Okay. So, it just absolutely amazes me that we continue to allow them to do this. Unbelievable. All right, let's move on. All right, taking a look at the NOTAMs and where we are with all of this. We still have this box. This is active. This has to do with the storm side of the house. That's going to be one of your Teal aircraft doing NOAA weather study, okay, as California continues to just get inundated with all of this water. So the other piece, too, very active in terms of military boxes across the United States. I did see something. This is up in Wisconsin, and it's a Volk East, and it's MOA 8,000 feet up to, but not including, 18,000. So it looks like a low altitude stuff. All right. Now, this is the Senior Living Center Brown Zone. This is where Flashbang is today. Notice it's red. That means it's active. This is where it looks like they are headed to from there. Hagerstown, headed to his bunker over Easter weekend. That always got to make you a little bit concerned, doesn't it? I do find it interesting that it looks like it is a total washout all the way up the East Coast right now when they're up here trying to raise money. So, but they did say the 52 million was a record for the DNC. So buckle up, because I have a feeling this is going to get really interesting. Looks like a missile box out here, missile box here, danger boxes up the East Coast. And then, of course, looks like up here towards Scotland, they've got some big things going on there, exercise-wise. A lot of slop and turbulence over Europe right now. And then boxes, just everything is covered up here. This is getting pretty crazy. All right. Now, the Baltimore port. All right. 2 of the fastest U.S. sea lift ships are trapped by the Baltimore bridge collapse. It says that the blocked entrance to the port of Baltimore has stranded a total of 4 cargo ships that are all on call to support the U.S. military operations. So that's really bad, because that's a lot of things we don't really see and track. But 4 of them, that's a lot of stuff, right? And so when you're getting ready to go to war, these ships, what they do is they'll bring them in, and they'll be carrying behind if they don't fly it in. So say you deploy F-35s to the Middle East, right? Well, there is a flyaway kit that goes with that. And so they will basically take everything they need to support that aircraft in the field. Test equipment, extra tires, landing gear, avionic components, all of that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what you have here. They'll be bringing in everything, food supplies, medical stuff, just a ton of things that are used to support the Navy and other, I guess, branches in the event of a war or any kind of military operation going on. So not a good sign. By the way, around that area that was collapsed, they're saying that bridge will take 4 or 5 years to replace. They say that it is just it just takes a long time, right? It's not, they have to literally remove all of the other stuff. My guess is it'll be redesigned so that they don't have an Achilles heel on a bridge again. All right, they'll do it in a different style bridge, more than likely. But inside that area are 48 military installations. Okay, whether it be bases, whether it's it's just a lot. There's a lot of different things. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines are all in there, all the way around that entire area inside where that bridge is, around the circumference of that. So that's a pretty big area to be struck. Then they also say that all of the hazmat went across that bridge. That's how they moved it. They can't go through the tunnels without getting major. They can only do it at night. It has to be security escorts, etc. There's just a lot to it, a lot of moving pieces. So for that to go out, although it is not the top 10 major ports, it is definitely an impact on our military. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. That's really the key. The economy, not so much. The military, yeah, a lot more. All right, Biggs Army Airfield, the big takeaway here is just pay attention to the size of the aircraft. That is going to be your big indicator that things are being moved in a very large manner, okay? 747 coming in from Portsmouth, but then look at this. Sun Country, that's immigrant related. Very confident. It's coming out of Fort Myers. It's going to land here. It goes up to Minneapolis, St. Paul. All right. That's Sun Country. Now, Atlas Air headed to Houston Bush. We've been watching a lot of 747s roll in and out of this area. If you look at the equipment, these are very big troop movers, right? 767 extended range stuff. But then you get down here, 747, go down a little further, and more 747s. So over the last month, we've seen a lot of very large 747s come in and out of Biggs Army Airfield. Same thing here. We go over to Dover, and everything on the board here, 747s. So you've got this one coming in from Chicago. So that is Atlas Air. That is Coletta. 2 747s. And then, of course, they leave as camber flights. So notice where this one's going. Doesn't give you a destination. This one tells you RZE Poland, forward operating base. Okay. All right. Let's go on over here to Ramstein, and let's see what exactly we have on the board coming inbound. That's an Airbus coming out of Kuwait. Again, Ramstein's a military base, so everything coming in here should be military or chartered military stuff like camber flights. And let's see. I see the Brits. Those are small. These are kind of small aircraft. F900s are. It's not a large airplane. It's going to be kind of like a little Gulfstream size aircraft. A little bit bigger, maybe. But let me see. Interesting. Ramstein doesn't have anything big on the board there. But let's go to RZE Poland, and let's see what they have. All right. For some reason, it just kicked me off of RZE Poland. So let's go RZE. And we're going to see if I can get it to pull up here. Kind of crazy. That just locked me right out of it. All right, now take a look at the 747s coming in. Now this, I don't know. It's coming from Saudi as a 747. But we go down a little further. Here's your Dover Camber. Here's another one coming in from Travis. That's coming out of California. Both 747s. And then over here on this side, it leaves as a Coletta flight. German Air Force is in there. And Nomad Aviation. That's probably going to be some high-speed boys. All right, then we go down a little further here. 747, National Cargo, 747. So these are departing. That means they were on ground. So we may not see them coming in over here, but we do see them leaving over here. Again, a lot of big 747s rolling into RZE Poland. I think we're getting close. I'm telling you, this is has a feel that things are about to get very interesting. Like I said, they talked about the largest NATO exercise in history starting up back in, like a month ago. And I've seen no indication of that other than I see a lot of stuff arriving on ground, but from flights, helos, whether it's fighters, whatever it may be, I'm not seeing any indication that there's these large exercises happening in the area. So, all right. So check this out. This is going to get very, very interesting because the dynamics to this are quite extensive. Okay. The U.S. is turning to Turkey for, this is 155 millimeter artillery. All right. They call Turkey for explosives as war in Ukraine saps the supply. Turkey is set to become the largest seller to the U.S. of artillery shells. Now, why is that scary and important? Well, there's two reasons. One, you may remember Turkey got kicked off of the F-35 program because they were just playing shenanigans out there. They're not pro-United States. They're using us to get stuff. They are part of NATO, although they are very, very strategically aligned with Russia. Thus, they serve two masters. There is a trilateral agreement that took place in 2017 between Russia, Turkey, and Iran. Those three. Typically, they don't all have or haven't played together in the past. They are playing together now, and they are in lockstep with each other. And the fact that NATO continues to allow Turkey to be part of NATO is only because we need them more than they need us. So we are probably watching everything they do very closely because of that relationship with Russia. Now, this actually may sour things with Russia and Turkey, forcing Turkey to basically walk away from NATO downstream. We'll wait and see what happens, but do know that when you get to Gog Magog, Ezekiel 38, Turkey, Russia, and Iran are the three primaries that come against Israel. All right. So I don't see those two going anywhere. Nonetheless, it says that Turkey supplies the whatever that word is right there, known as TNT. There we go. I like the acronyms so much better. You see why we go to acronyms, right? But they say that which is used as a propellant, and or this is actually used as the propellant. But the TNT to be crucial in the production of NATO standard 155 millimeter caliber ammunition, potentially tripling production. Yeah, folks, we're going to war, and they've got to have reach back. The interesting piece to this, get this, there is a company, let's go acronyms, GDOTS, all right? So that is, or GDO and TS. They are basically going to build 355 millimeter projectile metal part lines here in Texas, including with the Turkish subcontractor. So you're going to have a bunch of Turks coming out here, and it's going to be located in Mesquite. All right, so you guys get ready. It's coming here in June. That ain't too far off. All right, let's move on. Here we go. Putin issues yet again another warning saying if you bring F-16s into Ukraine, we're going to smoke them out. All right. Basically says right here, we will destroy any F-16s delivered to Ukraine from its NATO allies, wherever they are. And so he said he hasn't made threats of taking out other NATO countries, but it's not off the table. I say that because that's what he said up here. That hey, look, we're not trying to provoke actions with the other NATO countries. However, he does say, we will nuke you if you mess around. So, it's kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth here. But a group of 14 countries has pledged to deliver the aircrafts with help and training. So, they're supposed to already have them. They've been training them in Poland, the Netherlands, I believe, the UK, and right here in the great state of Texas. So, And I think actually maybe even Oklahoma. They're kind of all over the place where we're bringing them in to train them. So he's saying F-16s not going to work out well for you. All right, let's move on. Check this out. Russia says its warships have entered the Red Sea amid the Houthi attacks. And they are basically also telling Russia and China, hey, listen, if you won't mess with our vessels inside the region, that we will give you stuff that you need to go fight the Americans and the NATO folks. So very interesting. Look at the age of this. It's putting the kid, like this kid is he's not even a teenager probably. He looks like he's about 12. So absolutely incredible. And these are the people that want to kill you. These are the people that are putting on airplanes and flying over here to the United States and putting them into our communities. All right. Yes, sir. Okay. U.S. trying to hide something related to Moscow concert hall attack. That's coming from the Kremlin. This is actually an article written by the Turks. But they're saying something stinks to high heaven. The U.S. is trying to hide something. We keep saying it was ISIS, etc. But remember, I showed you the footage where they had taken one of the terrorists and roughed him up a bit. Looked like he had the old plastic sack around his neck. That means they put that on there so he couldn't breathe, scared the daylights out of him, and got him talking. And he looks very panicked. He's got a nice, beautiful shiner on his eye. But I can guarantee you that after they did that, he was singing like a canary. And they're going to flush this out. And if it comes back on us, the United States, or anybody in NATO, do realize that could potentially lead us into the kickoff of this war. All right. That's if we don't have a spring, offensive planned already, right? Which showing everything that I'm seeing, I don't know, it'll be early spring, could be a late spring, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff arriving in the region that would indicate we are definitely about to get jiggy. Okay. All right. National cargo. This one, just noticed that it looks to be headed. Currently, it is out over the water, 37,000 feet, 621 miles an hour, headed out kind of this direction. Maybe heading to India. There's no telling. All right. And then, of course, UK, this is going to be our Camber equivalent, right? So U.S. Transportation Command equivalent. This is the Brits, Middle East, Pakistan, which is pretty interesting. And then, of course, coming out of Bermuda, and I see a lot of stuff going on here in Europe. All right, moving on over here to the Camber. Only 3 showing right now. One's a 747 come out of Dover, and then these others look to be in Europe, especially that one. So, yeah, there you have it. All right, continue to move stuff throughout. And then Omni, again, look at them coming out of Seattle, Tacoma. That's troops. That's going to be troops, right? Headed to Guam, it looks like. And then this one coming out of Shannon, Ireland, down to, where is that going into? Well, it doesn't want to give me the location. All right, well, we'll just click on it. Let's see where it's headed to. All right, Fort Hood. And yes, I refuse to call it anything other than Fort Hood. All right, so you can say whatever you want, but that's rubbish. All right, anyway. Looks like they're bringing, that's probably, that will be troops going into Fort Hood. All right, Western Global, again, you can see these guys flying into Chicago out of Alaska. They're probably carrying ordnance, if I had to guess. And then this one looks to be landing down in Hong Kong, Los Angeles to Hong Kong. It's the only thing keeping our supply chain going, honestly. Everything's slowed down from the ocean standpoint. And so when you see those flights coming, big 747s, they're carrying probably medical stuff. All right. All right. I'm not seeing anything from Doha. And then this is over to Djibouti. I'm just checking the board. And who is this? Air France. Yeah, this is just commercial stuff. So looks like Djibouti's clean once again. And let's get on over here to this piece. El Gora. Let's see. Nothing on the board for that, at least currently today. Again, this was the installation that is a multinational military base with inactive runways that appear to be very active. And then last up, that is just going to be NATO, and they look to be coming out of Vegas. And I just wanted to show you that headed to Bangor, Maine. Maybe a fuel stop. Equipment is an Airbus A330-200. So yeah, it's probably a fuel stop. But they are finally leaving Vegas. Don't know what they were doing there, but yeah, it is what it is, right? All right, folks. Listen, that is going to do it for our SITREP today. I hope you have a fantastic and beautiful resurrection weekend. And spend time with the family and just decompress. We'll see you next Tuesday, God willing. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Thanks for watching, folks. You can check out the latest gear and products by selecting the QR code on your screen now or go to monkeyworksus.com.